Download the AllStar app. Make your picks for UFC fights, challenge your friends, level up and win prizes. Link in description. Get it now. All right, Cody. Let's hop into it right away, man. Unified MMA 54. This opportunity coming up. How did it come together, man? This matchup with Harley King.
I've said yes to Harley King before, and we were just trying to find a fight. I was actually hoping to fight on that Toronto card. So if this fight goes good, which I think it's gonna, then I'm hoping to do a quick turnaround for Toronto. But I was just looking for a fight. I was looking for a fight for a while actually, and then that name got brought up, and we had already said yes before, so it just worked out. I've watched him fight. We actually made our. I think it was his pro debut too, in my hometown here in St. Catharines. So I've seen
you've
him on
had
the screen for a
interactions
while.
with them?
No interactions. We were in corner rooms, but I've been watching him on the scene.
All right, so you guys are kind of like parallel to each other in many ways.
Yeah, like I'm always watching all the up and coming bantamweights or anybody I could possibly fight, right? So I mean, you'd be dumb not to. It's your competition. Yeah, I've been watching
So
him for a
what
while.
what did you think of his last performance on the Unified card?
Against Devin,
Yes.
I've actually not even seen that fight yet. They haven't released it on Fight Pass, and I wasn't able to watch that night. So I'm going off of the Zuniga fight, the Atma fight, and honestly, I haven't watched more than that. Like, there's no point in going that far back.
Mhm.
I want to keep it relevant, right? Always evolving anyway, and I'm assuming he's going to be the best version of himself anyway.
Is that something that you do? Like, are you really into the studying aspect of your opponents? Because I was watching, I remember a countdown where, oh yeah, John Jones he was fighting Cyril Gahn, right? And Cyril Gahn
Mm.
during fight week, he was playing soccer with his teammates, and John Jones was in his basement watching film, and he said, "You'd be stupid not to watch your opponents and study them. It's
Oh,
chess, not
100%.
checkers."
Yeah, exactly. There's always little tells and stuff, and even game plans and things that I can see. Okay, they're doing this. This is what they like to do. This is their go-to stuff. This is their reactions and
Mhm.
how they defend and how they move. If they're stiff, if they flow. There's always little things you can get. But then again, like I said, like yeah, I'm watching them fight. Who knows? 5 months, 6 months. How much better can somebody get in that 6 months? I know I train every day, twice a day, and I'm getting better. I feel like every day. So I'm putting those sessions in. I'm training to beat the best. That's the way I'm looking at it. I'm training to beat the
And
best, and he's just a stepping stone on the way to the top. So
is that something that was like a learned behavior, or have you always been doing that?
that's what my coaches preach. They always
Mhm.
say just train to beat the best. Like, yeah, of course we're training for a certain opponent, but this isn't my end goal to fight on Unified 54. I'm training to be in the UFC, and that's where I want to be. So
Is Unified the biggest platform right now in Canada
I'd
for up
say
and
so.
coming fighters, you think?
That's why I went to Unified, because it is the biggest platform. UFC Fight Pass, they do their shows properly. They treat their guys proper, and I want to be with the best until I get that offer for the big shows.
Speaking of the best, your team, Niagara Top Team, right? It seems like you guys are like becoming the outliers in Canada, with
Yeah.
the squad that you guys have, and you're just one of the ones that are coming up, the prospects.
Mm-hmm.
How did you end up with them?
So I grew up in a small town, Petrolia, just outside of Sarnia. I trained there. I fought there as an amateur, and I was doing steel framing, and I was working in Niagara actually. So I just wanted a gym to train at really quick um, while I was there for the week. So I signed up at this gym. It wasn't Niagara Top Team. It was another local gym in St. Catharines. And so I started training with them. They kind of offered me a spot, like, hey, if you want to do this for real, you can move down here. So I moved down there, and then that team kind of like dissipated almost. Like there wasn't too many pros there. And then I met Tisha Gothro, actually. He's fighting on the Unified card in Toronto. I met him. I started sparring with him. And then they opened up Niagara Top Team, pretty much the beginning of Niagara Top Team. We used to train in this little dungeon gym. It was hilarious, but it'd be packed, like 30 guys in there, pro sessions, guys coming down from Toronto to get working with us. And yeah, I was there from the get go. I'm like one of the OG guys there, so It feels good to see
You're
it really grow and explode into this thing that it is now. It's pretty sick.
yeah, you're the young OG, right? Like the
Yeah,
young
yeah,
OG.
exactly. Yeah,
You know?
young OG.
Yeah, there's a lot of older guys in the gym as well, right? Like that you've
Oh,
been training
100%.
with for a while, for
100%.
sure. Yeah. Like who are your closest training partners at the gym?
T-Shay,
Mhm.
um, Gabe Sagman. Um, there's so many, honestly. I've been training a lot, or a good amount with Siri lately. Um, Jasmine, Jazz Vicious. Like, there's so many of the team, and there's so many different bodies, right? You just want to always grab uh, all these different bodies to get different looks. But I train with T-Shay probably the most at anybody. And we've been
And
training
the
together for
coaching
years
staff
now.
and the coaching staff out there, man. I think a lot of people really don't know much about them. Explain to me like the roles that they play for you.
Yeah, so Chris Prickett, he's like the head coach. He was an Olympic alternate, like and a killer wrestler. He went to school for coaching and everything, I think, too. And so he just really knows how to break things down to you and like teach the group as a whole and like kind of be that leader and explain things the way they should be explained and keep everybody in line and disciplined and whatnot, right? And then Mackie Marcantonio, my striking coach slash jiu-jitsu coach, he had like 20 something pro fights. So he's been there since the beginning of my pro career too, just like really nitpicking the striking, just giving his look on things and with jiu-jitsu and striking. And then we got Matt Jelly, which you guys, I'm sure you're familiar with him. He's a West Coast boy. So, well, I guess that's what you call Alberta, right? West
Mhm.
Coast. And yeah, he's like a mastermind, right? Like just killer on the pads and like really good mind in the striking, all over MMA. But
Mhm.
he really helps break things down too, and just giving different looks, and they all add their little pieces, and it all comes together to form just the best in the country. I think the best coaches in the country.
You're 5-0 as a professional. Like
Mm.
which fight out of those 5 was probably the biggest lessons learned or the toughest fight?
You know, it's I definitely faced some adversity with the Nate Small fight,
Mhm.
just back kick early on, and it hit that kind of that drop foot. I think you seen
Mhm.
with the Sean O'Malley, the same thing happened with him, right? But I'm able to switch stances, and I switch stances a lot when I fight. So I just switch stance and held off a little bit, bought myself some time, and then the second round came around and I knocked him out, which got me fired up for that, right? But the Jacob Ralph fight was a good one too. Going the
Mhm.
full 15 minutes and wrestling and having those good grappling exchanges, while still keeping it intense on the feet, throwing knockout shots and stuff. So that was a good one to go the full 15. That was the first time I did that. But yeah, every time you get in there, you're just learning so much more every time, right? Little things in the back room, even being there with my teammates uh, over the last some fights recently. I was there in the back room just watching them, going through those emotions and being in that space just helps you a lot too. You're just learning every time, get more comfortable in the chaos.
The drop foot, you know what I mean? Dealing with that's gotta be beneficial when you start, going
Oh
into
yeah,
the higher level, you know what I mean? Because 'Cause you've already
yeah.
dealt with it, but how crazy was that to feel that and to
Mm-hmm.
have to overcome that, especially, like, I'm pretty sure there was a crowd, right? So there are probably people yelling from outside the
Mm-hmm.
cage, like, "Attack the leg," you know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's pretty
Well,
wild.
I think I sold it pretty good. Like I didn't like let him know it was hurt.
Mhm.
Um, but I think my corner, like my coaches, they kind of knew because I came back and I told them whatever. But yeah, just dealing with that adversity and just being still calm. Like it was weird because he wasn't throwing a lot of punches. He was kind of just like staying along with the teep and kick, along with the teep and kick. And it's kind of hard to engage with somebody that just wants to do that, right? I
Mhm.
gotta force myself to get in closer range. But then when he actually started throwing some punches, then I was able to counter, and it just I don't know. It's people thought I was hurt in the beginning too because I had let him kind of do a teep kick or something, try to bring him in. That was my whole idea behind that. Like, okay, you teep kick me to the cage, and I'll come in and do something about it. But he wouldn't close that distance. And then finally, when he did, I put him out.
It's hard to deal with somebody that has a solid teep kick or a side kick. You know what I mean? It's
Hmm.
just something that, if you're good at it, it could really mess up your opponents. I've seen it in
Hmm.
sparring a lot, like watching pro spar,
Hmm.
and then some guys or even girls that are really good at that aspect of the game. You see Steven Thompson, he's really good at it as well. And yeah, man, it's how did you get around that? Like, how did you figure it out?
Well, it's not like I use it a lot too. I use the
Mhm.
teep and I use the push kicks and I love the side kick and spinning kicks and whatnot. But it's like at the end of the day, okay, you're teeping a guy. What are you doing from there? It's not going to finish a fight most likely,
Mhm.
unless you got like a killer stab kick. But it was kind of like one of those things like, okay, I blocked it. Even some of them, I'm getting my arm there and I'm blocking it still, but to the crowd, it might look like something else. But at the end of the day, you're not going to win a fight, I don't think, just based off of that. So you got to do something behind it. And I like, and now that I've experienced that in the fight, I have things to deal with it now, whether it's catching it, parrying it out of the way, or just beating it before it happens, or just making the distance. Is it's kind of a longer range weapon, right?
Yeah, for sure, for sure, and yeah, it's not like you're gonna be knocking somebody out with the teeth unless it's like some
Mm-hmm.
Anderson Silva type face kick.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Snap
That's
kick.
different.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
that's
That's a whole other thing. Snap kick to
yeah,
the chin.
yeah, yeah. That's a beautiful kick right there. Um,
Yeah.
with this fight coming up, Harley King. Harley King is a pretty cool name. I just gotta say that.
Yeah.
But you gotta take him out, man. So, what do you envision in this fight? Like, what do you expect to show of yourself?
You know what? I think I'm better than him everywhere. I've been training this MMA for 7 years now. I'm 25. I started when I was like 17, and I've just been training every uh, martial art, whether it's wrestling, jiu-jitsu, striking, and yeah, I think I can beat him everywhere. And I always want to give the people a good show. Um, but I think once he feels, I feel like he's gonna want to grapple. But he's got power in the hands too, so he mixes it up well too. So it's kind of one of those fights where we're gonna see where it's gonna go. I don't know his game plan. He doesn't know mine, and yeah, I think it's gonna be a really good showcase of just like martial arts in general, an all-around fight. You're gonna see the grappling, you're gonna see striking. You might even see some, yeah, like more jiu-jitsu exchanges. So I'm just ready to go wherever, and I'm gonna see my openings. I'm gonna take them, whether they're on the ground, they're on the cage, they're on the feet, wherever they are. I'm gonna feel it out, and I'm gonna find that chin.
What do you think of the talent pool right now in the bantamweight division on the regional scene in Canada?
It's good. Yeah, a lot of regional guys. I'm like starting to think like, who am I gonna fight after on the regional scene? Um, I got a couple names,
Mhm.
but I'm gonna save that for fight night and do a little call out. But yeah, like I don't know. There isn't too many. Like I think I'm gonna have to start going to the states because I train with a lot of the best guys too, right? So
Mhm.
and we'd never fight each other. So yeah, maybe going to the states or whoever wants to they come up. I want to fight like uh like equal records too, right? Like I don't
Mhm.
want to be going down and fighting these guys that are 1-0. Yeah, there's some guys coming up that are 1-0, 2-0, but they got to get up to my level, or it's just like, what's the reward in it, you know? Even
Yeah.
if I do beat, yeah, it's like, okay, you beat a guy that's 1-0. I want to beat. I want the big shows to start looking at me, so I want to beat guys that are 5-0, 6-0.
Do you just take it fight by fight? Are you thinking like, hey, I'm just gonna take the fight and then take another fight, and when the big show or somebody takes notice, that's when I'll take the opportunity? Or are you in a rush? Because it seems like a lot of guys are in a rush. They're like, I'm ready right now. They're like
No,
4-0.
well, you know what? I wasn't in a rush my whole career, and I've been like I said, I've been training 7 years, and now I chose to turn pro when I chose, like when I wanted to. Like back in the day when I was fighting amateur, I was like 4-0, 5-0 amateur. I had guys telling me, go pro," and it's crazy to me because I'm like, fuck, if I would have turned pro back then, dude, I would have got my ass kicked. But yeah, I waited and I was patient, waited for everything to come in, so I started getting some man strength and shit. I'm 25 now, so it's starting to kick in. And yeah, this is the time, and I want to get fights. I want to stay busy. I want those big shows to recognize, and yeah, I'm gonna go out there and put a show on. For the people, every time I fight, it's always a banger. I mean, I go out there to give the people a good show and come out unscathed. I want to hit without getting hit. Just because I want to give the people a show doesn't mean I'm down to brawl every single time. You know what I mean?
As an amateur, you also had some kickboxing fights. How
Mhm.
beneficial was that?
Oh, it was huge. Well, when I started fighting amateur MMA, I went 4-0 in MMA, and then they made amateur MMA illegal in Ontario. So it kind of swapped. Pro was illegal while amateur was running, and then they switched places because it wasn't being taxed. So that's always what it is.
Yeah.
Hold on, something just came up here. Okay, I think we're good. But
Yeah.
yeah, so and then once MMA became illegal, that's when I started doing kickboxing, Muay Thai. I was actually just talking about it today to my. We are doing like a little coach's highlight thing because they were just talking about past experience and how I went to Thailand, and I'm half Thai, so I feel
Oh,
like Muay Thai, it's in my blood. You know, it's always been in my heritage, and it was cool to go there and see my roots, and that's kind of what got me into fighting. It always caught my eye.
yeah. Well, it's all good, man. No worries. December 15th, Unified MMA 54, Alberta, Canada. Thank you so much, Cody, for the time. And yeah, man, you're one to watch, man. I've seen a couple of your fights. And yeah, man, we'll see what you can do in this
Let them know.
upcoming one.
Let them know. It's gonna be a banger, bro. I'm telling you. Like I'm gonna put on a show. The crowd's gonna be probably booing me at first, but once that cage closes, it's gonna be a highlight reel for sure.